Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about a few tips and tricks that you can use while you're traveling to save yourself a bit of money. So my wife Casey and I spent about a year traveling through Southeast Asia, and we had to budget really well. We obviously had no job, so we had a very limited amount of money that had to last us for a full 12 months. So while we were doing that along the way, I learned a few tips and tricks that saved us a lot of money. I wanted to share those with you today. Obviously, once all of this COVID thing finishes and the world opens back up, all of us are going to want to go traveling again, and there's going to be some great deals out there. The more money that you can save on these things, the more money you get to spend in the actual local economies and help the people that actually need it the most. So I've got about 7 tips and tricks. There's obviously going to be a heap more. If you Google this, you're going to find hundreds and hundreds of them online, but these are the ones that we use the most to save us the most amount of money. The first tip that I can give you is to travel off peak. The entire time that we were traveling overseas, we were actually just off peak, just either side of the high season. What that meant was that we actually saved a lot on accommodation, we saved a lot on transport, and things like tours and stuff are also quite a bit cheaper. So you can definitely save yourself hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you're willing to just travel off peak. My second tip is booking flights. Now, when you're booking a flight, say you want to book an internal flight in Vietnam, what most people would probably do is just jump on the Jetstar website, research flights in Vietnam, and then go from there. Now, what I've found is that if you actually, if you want to book a flight through Jetstar in Vietnam, if you actually go onto the Vietnamese Jetstar website, then you'll actually be paying less than if you go onto the Australian Jetstar website. So instead of putting .com.au, put .com.vn. This saved us hundreds of dollars in our travel overseas. Quite often the flights were even less than half the price that they were on the Australian website. So you can see if you just do this one little trick, you can save a lot of money. The next thing on the list is using referral codes. Now, if you've watched some of my videos, you've probably heard me talk about Booking.com referral codes before. That was the company that I used to book most of our accommodation. And we actually had a referral code which no longer works because it has, we haven't traveled for so long. But if you, every now and then Booking.com and Airbnb and all these places, they have referral codes where if you have a friend that's used it before, they can give you a code and you can put that in and it saves you money off your accommodation. Now, this does vary from time to time as to what they offer. When we were traveling, Booking.com had an unlimited code, so you could keep using it again and again and again. And it would often save about $20 for every $40 you spend. Now, this was great because we were only staying in places for 2 or 3 days at a time. So we very rarely spent more than about $40 for those 2 or 3 days. So we were getting a lot of our accommodation for half price. Airbnb have one, I think you can get like $30 or $40 off. There's heaps around, so do your research. Jump on Twitter, Facebook, Google, just search for referral codes and heaps will come up. But that is probably the way that we saved the most money while we were traveling overseas. We saved, I think last time I checked, it was over $1,500 just on referral codes. My next tip is eating. Now, the way that we found that we saved a lot of money was we ate like locals. So we went to local eateries, restaurants where the locals were eating. We tried to avoid a lot of the places where Westerners would eat, a lot of the fancy restaurants. Of course, we did eat at them sometimes, but most of the time we went to the local restaurants. You get a better idea of the culture and the food. You get a better idea of the culture, the food is freaking delicious, and you save a lot of money. Like, if you went to, say you're in Vietnam, you went to a local restaurant, you're probably going to be paying $1 or $2 for a meal. If you went to a restaurant that's designed for Westerners, it's still going to be cheap, but you're probably going to be paying between $5 and $10 for a meal. So that's a significant difference when you're traveling for a very long period of time. My next tip is actually negotiating your rates directly with accommodation. So we found when we were staying somewhere for an extended period of time, if we actually contacted the accommodation directly, then we would get much better rates. A good example of this is when we spent a month in Hoi An, right at the start of our trip. We went round to a bunch of different villas and hotels around the area. One day we probably went to about 15 or 20 all up. And walked in there and said, hey, we want to stay here for a month. We want to know what your prices are and we want the best deal that we can. And we found that a lot of places would knock a huge amount off the asking price because they knew that they were going to have you in there for a month, and we were off peak, so they knew that they weren't going to be booked out. The place that we ended up with, I think it cost us about $400 US for the entire month, including breakfast. But if we had to book that online, it would have been double that. It would have been $800 US for the month. But because we went in there, we said, this is our budget, this is what we want, this is how long we're going to stay. They went, yep, cool, welcome, come stay. And we stayed there for a month and we loved it and we got along with them really well. And yeah, they actually ended up, they gave Casey a birthday cake while we were there, and they gave us gifts when we left. So definitely don't be afraid to ask for a better deal, and don't be afraid to negotiate on price with accommodation. My sixth tip is to book your own internal travel. Now there are some great websites out there like 12 Asia, which make it really easy to book buses and things like that throughout Southeast Asia. But we found that if you actually rocked up to the bus station and you just booked the bus yourself, once again you could save almost half of what was what they were asking for. So in Thailand, for instance, we booked a little minibus to take us from Bangkok up to, where was it? From Bangkok up to Ayutthaya. And we only ended up paying, I think, about $2 or $3 for that bus, which was about a 4-hour bus ride. If we had it booked on 12 Asia, it would have been about $10 or $15. So once again, not huge amounts of money, but when you do all of these things together, they all add up into saving you quite a lot of money. It means you can travel for longer for cheaper. And my final tip for you to use when you're traveling overseas to save money is to offer your services. We did that quite a lot and we ended up saving quite a bit of money. When we were in Hoi Non in Vietnam, we stayed at a place called Ocean Beach Hostel. They needed a video made. I'm a videographer. I made them a video. They gave us free food for the entire week that we were there. It saved us probably a couple of $100 in the end because we were resting, we were eating and drinking like crazy. So yeah, no, it was awesome. But because I had those skills, I was able to offer my services. Another example is when we were in Thailand, a local scooter rental company offered us a free scooter for a month if we made a video and we included them in it. So I guess you could call that a sponsorship, but we were going to hire a scooter anyway, and that would have cost us probably a couple of $100 for that month. So the video that we made is a really good one. It's had a lot of views. It's the one where we did the Mae Hong Son Loop. It was a great little scooter. Highly recommend Cat Motors in Thailand. If you're ever in Chiang Mai and you need to rent a scooter. But doing those little things along the way, it saved us a fair bit of money. If you have the skills to do it, why not? If you're a hairdresser, offer to cut people's hairs in hostels. If you're an artist, offer to paint the walls in a hostel. We've seen hostels that have used people to paint murals and stuff on the walls, and I'm sure they got things like accommodation in return for that. So there you have it, guys. That's my 7 tips on how to save money. If you've got any more tips and tricks, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. I'm all for saving money, so if I can use some of them in my future travels, then I definitely will. I hope you guys found that useful. If you did, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hope that we're all out there traveling again soon. We have just, in Tasmania, found out that we're allowed to start traveling within the state, so we'll probably get out and do a bit more traveling soon and explore the region a bit, and hopefully show you guys a bit of Tassie in the meantime. But yeah, in the meantime, guys, I hope you all stay safe and we'll catch you all soon. See ya.